Hey everybody, how is it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is the RambleCast. This is September 25th, 2024, and I'm your host, Cody Toombs. And with me, there is a Corbin Davenport on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Greetings.
Greetings, Earthlings. So, what's up? This been a it's been a weird week, you know. It
Yes.
I feel like this week there has been tech news, but it has almost fallen to the wayside as old news kind of just won't go away. Um, News about the Google TV streamer seems to keep popping up. Of course, people haven't stopped talking about the PS5 Pro, which, look, I'm going on record, and I've said this already multiple times. It's not badly priced. And of course, it is the highest performing PlayStation there is. Like, these things should not be controversial, but they are. Um,
Cody, Joe Biden said I had to buy a PS5 Pro or else I would get shot on the spot. So that's why I don't like it.
I'm pretty sure that would have been a Republican standpoint. They're the ones who immediately go to "you're gonna get shot," but I mean,
That's true. Actually, yeah, it would be Biden's going to take away my PS5 and then I have to buy a PS5 Pro. Just like he's going to take all of our guns, obviously.
no, he's gonna take away the dual. Is it DualSense or DualShock? I can never remember anymore. He's gonna take away the DualSense 5 controller and make you buy a Mad Catz.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah,
That's going to hurt him in the polls.
yeah, that's a pretty punishing choice right there. Um. Anyway, this is this is fun. Hey, Austin, how's it going? So, yeah. Anyway, speaking of, or well, we're gonna come back and talk about another one of these dumb topics in just a moment. But first, a dumb decision on the part of a massive major company. You know 'em, you love them. It is the big D, Disney. They're showing their horrendous greed. They're showing how much they absolutely cannot make it without charging people extra money to watch their streaming service.
Yes, Disney. Well, This is mostly focused on Disney Plus, but I'm pretty sure this is the same mechanism that would be used for Hulu,
I'd expect
and
so.
ESPN Plus, because they do say bundle in a couple places. So there's like, oh yeah, they say extra member not available for Disney bundle subscribers or for subscribers billed through our partners at this time. So they haven't figured out that part yet. So if you're getting like Disney Plus through well, I guess they'll do the password sharing lockdown, but you don't get the potential upside of uh giving them more money um if you're on a weird bundle. But yeah, basically Disney's doing the same thing that Netflix kind of did, um which is they will try to detect a primary household for your streaming account. And if they see you using it outside of that household, they'll make you do like an email verification thing. And then presumably at some point, they'll realize that you're just a person sharing the account, and they will give you the option of either adding an extra member to your Disney Plus account, which costs money but can be used outside the home. So basically, you're like a Disney Plus landlord with like subtenants, um, and then or they can just be migrated to another account. So this is the password sharing thing that they said they were going to do over and over again in all those investor calls, and now they're doing it, and it looks like basically what Netflix does. Um, yeah, so that's annoying.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but at least the add-ons are cheaper, are they not? Yeah, an
Yeah, this is
additional
also how
$7 a month.
Netflix does it, where it still works out to be cheaper to add a subtenant to your plan, than for them to get their own individual account. But if they still want to do that, then there's like a thing to migrate the data over. But yeah, it's still dumb. Um, so that's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There is a part of me that looks at this and goes, "Well, they have been reporting. Well, I think Disney just for the first time got into the black this last quarter. Maybe I got that wrong, but most of the streaming services are still reporting losses. So there is something to be said for, yeah, they probably need to work out business models that are going to make money. And right now, cracking down on password sharing is presumably something that will accomplish that. There is the other side of it where I can't help but think maybe there's probably other ways they could have saved money and found their way back into the black. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I mean, like there's trying to be profitable, and then there's like whatever Disney is doing. Um, like that's just a company that is has been extremely poorly run for the last like 5 years, maybe more. Um, Especially between the whole incident where like they tried to replace the CEO and then that went very poorly, so they had to go dig out Michael Eisner again and trying to replace him again. So yeah, it's just a mess over there. And yeah, so that's fun. The market will decide, as they say, and we'll see if this causes people to drop it. Not. Um, it's working out pretty well for Netflix. I don't know specifically the password sharing, because they don't provide very good data on that. And from what I understand, like it doesn't seem like they ever rolled that out like to everyone. Like they were still kind of selective about it. I'm not really sure. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about that generally. Um, but yeah, so have fun with that. I for now, I intend if this rolls out to my account, they do the same thing Netflix does, where like if you're outside the home, they'll like email you a code. So I'm gonna set up my email to just automatically forward those emails to everyone in my family, and we'll see how long that works as a workaround. So, you know,
makes sense. Um, yeah, I
and if you really wanted to be technical, then I'm pretty sure setting up a VPN server on the main household's network and using that for Disney Plus would probably work. But
yeah, I was even going
also,
to suggest that.
I don't think any of my family members could figure that out. So I'm not sure there's a point in me doing that.
Yeah, that is
Also, that is really annoying to set up on a TV.
I haven't tried, but I kind of
If it's
believe it.
like Android, maybe, but I'm it's they're I think they're using Roku stuff at the moment. So that's the whole thing.
Yeah, okay. I suppose technically you could do it at the router level, but man, that's some work. Um,
I could
so
not because I set them up with an Eero.
true enough.
So
Um,
that's on me.
yeah. So overall, I'm not super thrilled to see this. It's kind of a shame seeing the streaming networks decide to crack down, but also, let's be honest, this was always kind of in the cards. Like it was going to happen. It just was a question of when and uh you know, when and how aggressive they were going to be about it. And so far I would argue they've actually waited longer than I think most expected they were going to, and they haven't been as as jerky about it as I think we all expected.
Well, they're just starting. So
Yeah. Yeah, this is
we'll come
definitely.
we'll come back to this conversation after their next investors call where they're like, Disney Plus price increase again.
Yeah, that is true.
They
Um,
did finally raise the cost of my very old like legacy plan. So that combined with the sharing thing means that once this becomes too annoying to share, I will shrimply cancel because I don't use it that much.
yeah, that's fair.
Because Disney's mostly spending money on Marvel and Star Wars stuff, and I don't particularly care about either of those franchises right now all that much. So
Right. Well, to be fair, they are also spending their money a lot on lawyers who are taking advantage of weird terms and conditions so that they can murder people. So, you know. Also, in case anyone is hearing that from Disney, that was a joke. It is not meant seriously. Lawyers, you can go now. You are not needed. Um, because let's be honest, they're just big enough litigious freaks that they would probably come after me for that. Okay, so anyway, um, well, speaking of things that are costing more and more and more, oh, let's talk about it. If Carson shows up, sorry, and we'll keep this short. But Marquez Brownlee has come out with a new app. It's called Panels. It is wallpapers for your phone. That would be the whole story. It should be the whole story. But somehow, because it is MKBHD, the story was not allowed to stop there. Um, put simply, the massive abbreviated version of this is it is as he would put it, skilled artists are coming up with nicely designed wallpapers that have been presumably, custom designed in some way, shape, or form. I don't really get what that's supposed to mean. And uh, every month, new wallpapers are going to come out to the app. Um, you can subscribe to it, or you can use it in kind of a free to play mode. If you subscribe to it, it is, if I remember correctly, yeah, $12 per month or $50 per year. First off, I'm just gonna say, wow, what the, seriously, just that is a lot of distinction there in price. So 4 months is almost as expensive as the full year. Why is the monthly so high? Like, that's weird to me. I'm sorry, but
yes,
that one doesn't make a
that's
lot of
just a
sense.
very yeah, it's just a very blatant upselling.
Um, it is, but also I think actually now that I've said it, I think I do kind of get the logic. If you see a wallpaper you want, just one, then it kind of does make, or whatever. You could just subscribe, get the one or a few wallpapers for 1 month, and then you just leave it and never come back. So I guess maybe that's why they set the monthly price so high and the yearly is not too aggressive comparatively. But yeah, anyway, so alternatively, you can go with the free to play version, which you basically commit to watching an ad, and after the ad is done, you get a lower res version of the wallpaper to use on your phone. And it is per wallpaper, whereas the subscription gets you, as far as I'm aware, everything in the entire catalog. So, um, out of the gate, I kind of don't love the idea that you can't just watch like I I don't know 20 minutes worth of ads to get the full res versions, but whatever. Um, so let's see. Are there any other details about this? From like what's promoted side of this? I don't think so. So yeah, it's a wallpaper app. It's a really expensive wallpaper app. Um, Before we get into the problems with this, Corbin, any thoughts about the really expensive wallpaper app?
Um, I'll just my one take on this is uh I don't like that a lot of the responses I've seen about this are like, why would you pay money for wallpapers? You can just download them. Um, that's a very, very silly thing to say because a lot of them are like digital art that took someone time to make. And kind of the main comparison point I would draw here is Wallaroo from Icon Factory. I've not actually used it, but I follow Icon Factory on Mastodon because I like their other stuff. And they do like really high quality wallpapers all the time. And they have a subscription that's cheaper than this. Um, so like that's a model I think is fine. Um, I would say the main issues with this are just that, yeah, the app, as I think you're about to talk about, is like kind of broken. Um, and also someone reverse engineered it and just you can just download all the wallpapers because they're on an unencrypted Firebase thing. So I, I don't like the people who are like crapping on the idea of uh, paid art. And I briefly looked at some like Reddit thread. Big mistake. You never want to do that. And someone was like, "We can just get these for free now because AI can generate." I'm like, "No, go away. Turn off your computer. You don't computer privilege is revoked."
um, so I agree on all those points. I'm going to slightly throw in the sort of twist on it of, if you want wallpapers on your phone and don't want to pay for them, there are plenty people who put out there for free. Like, just go look and you will find more than you can possibly hope to ever look for or look through in your entire life. So, yeah, I mean, if you don't want to pay for wallpapers, that's an easy solution, and you absolutely can have wallpapers for free. Um, Art or not art, however you want to look at it, they're out there. If you want wallpapers from specific collections where the people who created them want to charge you for that, then pay for them. That's not an unreasonable ask. Because also, as a side note, I'm just going to point this out because I think it's something that shockingly a lot of people don't understand. You're not entitled to anything and everything for free. And in fact, some people like getting paid for their work. Chances are, you who would like to get things for free would like to get paid for work too. Um,
That's why if you would like to continue this live stream, please deposit an additional $5 at this time.
yes. Um, we are coming out with
Because I'm charging Cody like $500 to be here. So some of you need to step it up.
he is, and fortunately, I earn credits for having done Tech Tales. Um, though those are probably going to run out soon. So Corbin needs to
Mm-hmm.
bring me on for another Tech Tales, or someone's going to have to start contributing money so I can pay him off. Anyway, so yeah, I'm totally with you. I think if anyone wants to design wallpapers and charge for them, cheers, go for it. That is a perfectly valid thing. And if someone wants those wallpapers, they should probably be paying for them. It's ironic, somewhat ironic, that we just say this right after kind of crapping on Disney Plus for wanting to charge for access to their streaming network. But yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. Smaller companies and individual artists will get more out of that $5 than the multi-billion-dollar corporation. That's how I would put that.
plus the multi-billion-dollar corporation is often, not always, taking advantage of things like product placement deals that make them millions
Yes.
of dollars anyway.
The people making artists do not get do not be are not bundled with cable TV plans. So
Uh, true though. I don't know. I could possibly be convinced to put a wallpaper on my phone with a Mountain Dew Extreme product placement on it.
mhm.
So anyway, now we get into some of the bad sides of this. Obviously, some people are complaining it's just too expensive. To that, look, I'm my answer to that is going to be the exact same answer that I gave about the PS5 Pro. If the price is high and you don't want to pay for it, you don't need it. Walk away. You can do that. You can just ignore this. It's okay. You're not being held back from using wallpapers on your phone because you did not install this one wallpaper app and pay for it. Two, of course, again, you can go with a free route. Go that way if you want. Watch some ads, get your wallpapers, then walk away. Um, as far as how much, one thing that MKBHD did not specify, he did say that the proceeds from the app are going towards the artist, well, or a share of the proceeds is going towards the artist. He did not specify exactly how that was working or what share they were getting, um, and what the other details of that arrangement. If I'm being honest, I kind of doubt that this is actual shares in what comes out. I think it's more likely that this is sort of the way that um, a lot of freelance workers typically work, where they get paid a one-time fee to generate the wallpapers, and that's it. I doubt that. I doubt that in 6 months the wallpapers that someone created are going to continue getting some small portion of the subscription income. Maybe they will, but I don't see that working out as a good and easily managed business strategy. Um, that being said, the places where I imagine most of the money is going to go is probably MKBHD himself, and well, the company, and the developer, which we now know as Chris Lacey. For those who don't know, Chris Lacey was the developer of Action Launcher and Link Bubble. I know he's done some other stuff. I honestly don't remember what the other things were, but yeah, there you go. So depending on if you've had any experience with either of those apps, you may or may not have positive, negative, or indifferent opinions about his work. But we are going to talk about that in a moment. Um, First, I am going to say, though, one good way of framing this that I've heard people bring up is that this is a lot like a Patreon. So if you want to support MKBHD's company and you want to give them money and you want to get something out of it, this is certainly a way to do it. And in the process, some of that money is going to artists, some of it's going to a developer. Uh, Great. I'm I'm not here to tell anyone how to spend their money. I mean, I will absolutely do that if you ask. Give me the opportunity. I'll tell you how to spend your money. But I'm not trying to do that here. I'm not going to preach to anyone about that. What I will say though is, out of all the different ways that you could possibly contribute to anyone, or out of all the people you could contribute to, I'm not sure that the guy who has a actual shelf of red cameras is the one who needs the Patreon support or something akin to Patreon support. I'm pretty sure that he's doing okay. just just call it a guess. Um so yeah, I think that covers most of the money angle. There is the other angle of how well was the app built. A lot of people are mad about the advertising tracking disclosures, which MKBHD says that's not really happening, that they're actually not doing location scanning or any of the other stuff. I don't know if that's true. I haven't checked out the
I
app.
mean, like, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they just like put in the default whatever privacy thing is, and that's the pop up, because I'm pretty sure that's also what you get on the space bar right now. If you're like in the EU, because I have Google ads on there. So it's just like whatever, like scary looking Google prompt is the default because I've not bothered to change it. But also I'm not a big YouTuber. So
You're right. And hey, Carson, how's it going? Good news. We're
and
almost done with
also
this thing.
the website is not collecting anyone's location data.
Yet.
Google might be, but I don't have that. So
And yeah, and that's what I was about to say is we don't know if they just put in ad libraries and did not bother tuning or controlling them. So it is entirely possible that this app is collecting your location data, and nobody involved in the making of this app actually looked at or cared about that. We don't know. I'm sure we could look into it, or I could poke around inside the APK and maybe figure it out. But I don't care enough to go do that. Regardless, it is that they could have done better with the ad disclosure. Um, that's a whoops. It was probably laziness, or as I suggested in Discord, it's possible that the app was demoed to them and just no one bothered to look at that, or no one thought to look at that, or it was tapped through just really quickly, or maybe it was already cleared before it was demoed. We don't know. But yeah, I imagine that was something that was downplayed, and once the app came out, all of a sudden people, or all of a sudden it got called out, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that does look bad." So I imagine they'll scale it back, but we'll see. And the other thing, Corbin, you already kind of brought it up. Somebody reverse engineered this and immediately started downloading the wallpapers from a server. I'm just gonna say that's a pretty easy mistake to make if you're not thinking about it, but it's also the sort of thing that most development shops probably would have considered, because
you
it's
wouldn't
too easy.
download a JPEG.
Yeah, I honestly like I look, I, I don't have the highest opinion of some of the apps from the same developer, um, though it has less to do with the technical issues and more to do with sort of the ethical issues, particularly with Link Bubble. Um, but yeah, this kind of is not shining very well on the development quality, because to have not considered that that's an issue is maybe a pretty big oversight. um but yeah, so I don't know, that's pretty much all of the thoughts I've had about this. By and large, look, it's a wallpaper app. I i don't know why everyone cares so much. The only reason anyone cares is it's a wallpaper app with MKBHD marketing it. Am I wrong on that? I just don't think anyone else,
Um,
like if it was any other company, I don't think anyone would care. This would have been a thing that happened. People would have looked at the price and gone, "Oh, that's a thing," and then walked right away from it. But everyone is mad about this because it's MKBHD. So I kind of I kind of think maybe this is one of those good moments to back away and reconsider how much it matters when it's a YouTuber or any, we'll say, celebrity. How much does it matter when any celebrity starts like a brand deal or marketing thing, or sort of promoting their own projects? Like, just treat any new project as if it is a project from someone you don't know, and then ask yourself how much you care. I think this would just vanish into the ether if it fell into that sort of category. All right. So speaking of vanishing into the ether, I'm gonna let Corbin take this one. The Windows app now available on all major platforms.
yeah, so Microsoft has had this kind of cool thing that they won't actually sell to individuals for a long time, which is called Windows 365. not to be confused with Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 is the Office apps and all of the related things. Windows 365 is what they sell to companies, where you have like a cloud Windows PC that you can just like log into from like an iPad, or if you have a Windows PC, it shows up as like another virtual desktop. um, it's pretty cool. I wish they would like. I understand why that would be difficult to sell to individuals, because they're gonna run crypto miners or some stupid thing on it. But I would like them to try, because it always seemed cool when I saw demos of it. Um, and the sort of portal they were using for that and setting this up was called the Windows app. Now what they've done is they folded all of their like cloud remote desktop stuff into this app. So Windows Remote Desktop, now if you want to use that, the main way to do that will be through the Windows app. So I think what they're doing is, I'm not clear what the like exact upgrade path is, but I think like the on some platforms like the remote desktop app will just turn into this, and then on other ones they might like do it the other way around. I don't know, but that's what you have to search for now in the App Store when you want remote desktop, is just Windows. And this is not confusing whatsoever. Okay. Oh yeah, they say lower down in this post that users of remote desktop clients for Windows, Mac, iOS, iPad, and web will transition to the Windows app. So if you search for remote desktop and you're like, I can't find what I'm looking for, this is why.
Nice. Um. Hmm. I actually thought I was gonna have more to say on this. I do not. Um. I guess it's I in a weird way it does actually seem strange that they're not just doing well. This is just RDP, remote desktop.
Yeah.
But I assume that they want it in a Windows app because it probably adds some extra features and integrations.
Well, the remote desktop client was always like a native app on every
Yeah.
platform. I know there's also a web version. I think that the web version might just be for cloud. I because like that wouldn't be able to talk to local connections. But yeah, I do wish they would like, maybe this will be an opportunity for them to like better figure out remote desktop, because RDP is really nice. But it's not really a thing that gets talked about, or like, I don't think it's something that average like Windows PC owners that aware of, but it's kind of nice. So if this is part of a larger strategy to maybe like showcase that part of Windows a little bit more, that'd be cool. I don't think it is,
Hmm.
um, but yeah.
Okay. Well, from one thing that starts with win to the next thing that starts with win, because yeah, sorry, I just don't have anything else to say about this. Winamp. It really whips the llama's ass. Um, and
Yeah,
the
this is
the
the
llama
tab
is
I
very
closed.
unhappy.
Yeah, so this whole thing's very weird. So at some point, I think it was a couple of years ago now, the um, Winamp got sold again to a different company called the Llama Group. They're in Belgium, and their whole thing has been, they want to. They've mostly been working on this platform called Winamp, like they're reusing the name. It was going to be some like NFT garbage, whatever. I think it still is that, but not quite the focus. Basically, their thing is sort of like a Bandcamp Spotify hybrid, like Patreon kind of thing, where it's like a streaming service, but it's supposed to be like individual like payments to artists. I don't really, it doesn't really matter. But that's kind of what they've been using the Winamp for. And then off to the side, they've like done a little bit of work to try modernizing the very old Winamp music player for Windows. They did at least one update. I I, I haven't fully followed this. I think like the if there is a dev team, like the work has been very sporadic. Um, and earlier this year, they announced that they were going to open source Winamp because it's closed source, and that would potentially be really cool because Winamp is kind of like important computer history. So like having that code archive would be kind of cool. And they did technically deliver on that promise, but in the worst possible way. So the source code for Winamp is now on GitHub. You can go look at it. It is under a custom license that prevents you from like forking this to make your own Winamp. Can't do that. You can't use the Winamp name in like anything you're working on, anything related to this, which that part is understandable. A lot
Yeah.
of other companies do
Yeah,
that.
that's
Like
a reasonable
Mozilla does
trademark
that.
limit.
Yeah, like if you take like Firefox's source code and you decide to make your own web browser based on it, you cannot call it Firefox or use any of their logos. You got to call it something else. So that part's fine, but like you can't make your own variation of this. You can't use this in commercial stuff. Really, you can't distribute modified versions. So like literally the only thing you're allowed to do here is like you can work on the official Winamp project. So it sounds like they just kind of want free development work on the official Winamp version because that's really the only thing you're allowed to do. Now, what's funny is that they say you cannot modify, you can't like make your own Winamp project based on this. But it already has 883 forks on GitHub. Um, which would technically be distributing a modified version if you modify any of those files at all. Um, so that's really funny.
um
Now the other funny part is, oh, you can go ahead.
well, I was going to say there's nothing about forks necessarily. Like a lot of people just make a fork literally to have the copy of the code sitting on their side, and
Yeah,
obviously,
or they want to make fix a text file, so you have to fork it and then change it in your repo and then do a
right.
pull request back.
Yeah, or really if they want to even contribute code back, you need to fork it and then make your changes, contribute that back, and yeah. So the fork, there's nothing wrong with there being a bunch of forks. That doesn't even like step on their licensing at all. Um, what stands out to me is obviously they're trying to prevent competitors, which okay, I guess, whatever. Uh, but the good thing or the value in something like this is it also really leaves the door open for somebody to say, how did they do this? How did they handle that? I'm not going to use their code, but I might look at it. And by them open sourcing it for the most part, they're like, as long as they don't have any patents on something, looking at someone else's code is not going to be an issue.
Uh, I mean, if you look at it and then you write something that's very close to it,
If it's basically a copy, that's one thing. If
yeah, you got to do you can look at my homework, but you got to change it a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, obviously, but looking at how something was accomplished and then changing it into your own thing, that's by and large generally okay as long as there isn't some sort of like IP patents going on. Um, there certainly could be in certain specific cases, but generally not. And just because it's open source does not mean that there aren't. But as far as I'm aware, Winamp, I don't think Winamp ever really patented much. I could be wrong, but I thought they didn't.
I have no
Um,
clue.
Plus, if you go back in enough history, Winamp actually did stuff to get around a lot of patents. So, yeah. Um, I don't know. I think generally speaking, it's a good thing they're putting it out there. They're obviously a little on the cringy side because they're trying to prevent uh, competitors from popping up using the source code. But that also doesn't sound too far off for a company that was already trying to pull some NFT stuff. So
Yeah, like if this was under like GPL or something, I could see there being a lot of like Winamp enhanced projects popping up. Like that might be cool. But as it stands, if someone wants to do that, it's gonna have to be like someone in Russia, where like uh the
yeah,
the the
the rules don't
potential
apply as
legal
much.
action means nothing. Yeah, or you're gonna you can get Winamp enhanced, but you have to download it on BitTorrent.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, this was a whole and there were a lot of other issues here. Kind of the main one I saw was in their initial code release, and I have the link to this in that article where it says included code for the third party server. Um, they included the source code of the Shoutcast server software, which they don't own. It's a third party thing, and the source code is not public. So they just leaked code for a proprietary software component. Um, and someone put that in the uh, GitHub issues for the repository, and they even showed how they could like slightly modify it to compile for 64-bit Linux, which is kind of funny. And they replied and they said they removed the code, but it's still in the in the like Git tree. It's still in there, and of course, everyone who forked it before they did this, that's also still in there. So, once it's out there, no take backsies.
yeah. So the thing actually kind of find funny about this is very specifically that they effectively leaked the Shoutcast source, which here's the thing. The company that owns that, I don't know who technically owns it now, but whoever owns that, they might be mad. But the developer of Shoutcast, the actual developer, Justin Frankel, probably loving it because this guy was famous for basically hating corporations owning things. If you go back decently far in time, um, he was one of the developers of Winamp, along with Dmitry Boldriev, and they obviously started Nullsoft together. They later created Shoutcast, or I believe the order was they created Shoutcast, and then AOL bought Nullsoft, and then of course it's been handed around several times since then. During this time, Frankel actually also then created, while being paid by AOL, mind you, he created a peer-to-peer file sharing network called Nutella. Um, so that's a thing that AOL unintentionally paid him to do. He has also been a pretty outspoken, basically like anti-patent, anti-this, anti-that. Like he's not a big fan of companies owning things. Um, so I imagine he's actually probably just laughing to himself about Shoutcast unintentionally being shared live. Just a guess.
Yeah, it's very funny. Also, the issues page on GitHub is very funny. I'll put this in the YouTube chat. Here's one where someone created an issue that's titled "Created a fork illegally," and they said, "I pushed the fork button and created a fork. Now I find out this was an illegal act. Am I a criminal now? And will I be sued? Please advise." And then the first reply is, this picture is in direct violation of Winamp's license, and it's a picture of a fork. Uh, so people
Oh
were having
boy.
fun with this.
Yeah. And
All the issues are pretty funny. Someone opened an issue to merge Winamp with iTunes.
oh boy. I
And on that one, the last comment was, "It's been closed, therefore this means it's being done."
this what?
It's been closed, therefore this means it's being done.
Ah.
The iTunes merging.
Um oh boy. Yeah, they're oh wow. Yeah, okay. I'm seeing some interesting issues reported. Uh Play Wario World. Jeez. Oh yeah, people are just spamming all kinds of randomness here. I I kind of appreciate that, but at the same time, like, there's okay, the license sucks, but in most other ways, like, leave it alone. It is actually good that they're putting this out there, even if it's maybe a little on the dubious side. Um, Add
I do
Winamp
like
to
that
Tekken 8.
someone made an issue that's just called Frog, and it's a GIF of someone petting a frog. That's nice.
Yay.
If you do that on one of my projects, I'll get it. I'll breathe air out of my nose a little bit harder than normal and then close it.
um, yeah. So, cheers, I guess, to sort of an open source moment, but also
Oh.
if it's kind of not.
This is the look but don't touch this
Yeah.
project. Uh,
All right. Well, in I guess weirdly that creates a transition in the look and can't touch realm, otherwise known as the virtual world. We have news. The
well,
MetaQuest 3S is
this
real.
is the other tab I closed for some reason. Okay, now it's back. All
Of
right.
course you did.
So yeah, the all the rumors are true. Um, Meta announced some new VR stuff today. So the main thing is the Meta Quest 3S, which is basically the hardware and software of the Quest 3 in a slightly cheaper package. So I think you lose out on, I think it has like a little bit worse lenses. The resolution might be a little bit lower. I'm not entirely sure. There's a bunch of like small changes, but it's like mostly the same thing, slightly worse. So if you have a Quest 3, there's no reason for you to get this. It's worse. Um, but if you have a Quest 2 or something older, sure. Um, this is sort of their new budget option. So the Quest 3 is still, I think, 500. That's where it's starting. And the Quest 3S starts at, is it 300? Yes. Starts at 300 for 128 gigabytes, 399 for 256. And then they are discontinuing the 128 gig Quest 3, and they're selling a 512 gig option as the new like highest tier Quest for 500, which is the same price as the used to be the base. So basically, this Quest 3S is the new like budget mid-range thing, and the Quest 3 is still there as the more premium thing. So that's what's going on. They did say that like it's using the same chipset and all of the like Quest 3 specific improvements and games, which there are not a lot of at this point, carry over to this new one. So basically a Quest 3, but slightly cheaper package and much cheaper to buy. So that's kind of good. Alongside this, they are discontinuing the Quest 2, which is good because it's very old.
yeah.
It's very old. There's a lot of games that would like to leave that behind, but have not because it's been so cheap that I would put money on like 80% of Quest owners having it too, or in terms of like active users because it was so cheap, and the Quest 3 has not dipped below like $400. It's I think the low it might have it's gone down to 400 I think a couple times, but it's mostly stuck around like 450 ish. So like that, and then the Quest 2 where you can get on like eBay or Swappa for like 150, 180 used. It's like, yeah, I'm sure most of those too. So not a surprise. I will be interested to see how long they let it live because they killed off the Quest 1 relatively quickly. It only had support for like all the online stuff for a couple of years. I think like you can still download games that support it, but um, a lot of them don't anymore. And uh, their own like Horizon Worlds VR stuff like drop support for that. So um, I would hope that they keep it alive for the games that support it for a while, and maybe try to work out a system where the games that drop support for it will just download the latest available version. Um, Basically, just like it's old and slow, but like there were people who bought it today, so you need to make sure those people get their money's worth out of what they just bought.
Yeah, it's the classic thing of the best thing you could do is stop selling the thing a while back and keep supporting it for a long time. But they chose to let it sit in stores way too long. And we've seen other companies do this. Obviously, Apple's kind of notorious for keeping specifically iPads around long past their like when they probably should have been pulled and newer ones should have been put in. But
Yeah, I mean, I still see that. Like, I think it was a ninth gen iPad, the last one with the home button.
yeah,
I think you can still buy that new, even like I don't know. There was just like piles and piles of that thing made, and it's just perpetually on sale. Um, but yeah, so the Quest 2 is discontinued. They have also discontinued the Quest Pro, and that is interesting for two reasons. Number one, the Quest Pro was their big push into like VR, AR productivity and like shared workspaces and all that fun stuff. So that didn't work out. Um, and that is also the market that Apple has been trying to go after with the Vision Pro, which also does not appear to be working out. So that tells me that Zuck does not see a future there. Otherwise, there would be a new Quest Pro or something like that
well, strictly
announced by now.
speaking, we don't know that there won't be. It's
Yeah.
possible that they could be, 6 months from announcing a Pro 2 and they just didn't want to keep doing it now.
Yeah, and the Quest 3 for a lot of the use cases they made the Quest Pro for is fine. So that's the other thing. Like it's close enough. Um so yeah, the Quest, so like that whole office productivity thing is not quite working out. And then the other interesting part of this is that the Quest Pro was like the only VR thing you can buy for PC, I'm pretty sure, that supported face and eye tracking. Uh, I think the only other one is the PSVR 2, but it only does eye tracking when connected to a PlayStation console. The PC version does not support that yet. And that was that made it a pretty popular option in like VR chat and those kinds of apps that take very good advantage of the face and eye tracking. Like in VR chat, it is actually cool when I was talking to someone who uses a Quest Pro and you can see them like literally like move their eyes to like see another person, or like when they're talking to someone they're looking at them. So they just don't have a headset that does that now because the Quest 3 doesn't have that. I would hope the 4 has that. but who knows?
I mean, the fact that they've developed a technology and there are people asking for it, I'm sure there will eventually be a new headset that supports it. Like that just feels like a given. Um but it, and maybe what they'll do is come out with a new quote pro. It just won't be nearly as expensive as the Quest Pro was. And they might just have, and the Pro model might just be eye tracking and like one or two other small perks. They could do it that way and might make people happy. Meanwhile, it only adds, I don't know, like $75 to the price or something.
Yeah,
Um,
or they make a Quest 4 with either it in it or like some kind of mechanism where it's like a thing that attaches to the top or bottom, which I think is what HTC was doing. I think they had like a little thing you stuck on the bottom and it would, um, you know, measure that on your face.
okay. Um,
So,
so I'm also gonna, I kind of have a takeaway from this in addition to your 2 points. I think this kind of implies that the market has, to some extent, spoken and basically said, we've decided how much we're willing to pay for VR, and the Quest Pro was too much. The Vision Pro was too much by a lot, and by and large, I think people are kind of conveying that yep, the Quest 3 is maybe not the max that they're willing to spend, but it's somewhere close. Kind of the same way
yeah,
that
well,
people say
the
that about game consoles and various other things. There's a price point that the general populace kind of looks at and says, "Yep, that's where we're not into this anymore."
yeah, and with the Quest Pro, like also like I don't think it was ever sold in like stores, because it was intended to be like an enterprise thing. But because of that, I don't think it would have done better if they somehow convinced Best Buy to stock those things. Um, it was just very expensive, and uh, I think the Pro came out before the three, so there was sort of the issue here where the three was like half the price and almost as good. So that's just the better option for most people. But
Well,
um,
you know what they needed to do, because this obviously would have been the ultimate solution. Go to airports and find whatever store sells really overpriced electronics and sell it in there.
yeah.
Because
Oh man,
people,
I don't want to imagine how much an Airport Quest Pro would cost. Like that's like $3,000.
yep. But weirdly, I bet that would. I know this sounds crazy, but I bet that would actually like kill it. They would probably sell way too many of them there because some random person's like, oh, I you know, I'm already flying business class, so I'm already out like $8,000 for the day. And why not? Let's fly it a little bit more comfortably. And they'll just buy a Quest Pro and be like, yeah, who cares? It's just money. It's just money that my company's probably spending on me.
Yeah. So there was the hardware stuff that they talked again about some of the like apps and games they're working on. Um, they talked a little bit more about trying to get more 2D apps on this thing. So like, you know, more like the Vision Pro where it's not just like VR games. It's like, oh, I want a web browser open in front of me. Um, but I'm not really seeing like a strategy for dramatically improving that. It's sort of just like we'll make it a little bit easier for developers to do that. Um, I what I really need them to add like the Quest operating system still sucks. So that's the main problem. I at a minimum, I don't know why they're not doing this. They need to actually support progressive web apps because that would dramatically fix this issue. Um, if I could like there's not a Discord app on Quest, but I can run the Discord web app in the Quest web and it mostly works okay. So but I can't like add that to my home screen as like a standalone app like I could on an Android phone with Chrome or whatever. So that's something I'd seen again. If I was looking at this working at Meta and I was like, how do I get a lot of apps on here right now? That's what I would do, and then add like little buttons in the software. Like, do you want I don't know, Reddit? Do you want Reddit on your headset? Here's the web app. Click this button and we'll put it on your home screen, and it'll be like a little pretend app. Um, but yeah, we're also still uh we haven't seen any third-party headsets yet, I don't think, release with this OS. That's another thing they're trying to do is turn their Quest OS into sort of the Android of standalone VR. I don't think any of those headsets have shipped yet,
Um,
but they
well,
were talking
yeah,
about that.
yeah, and we talked about this just what, a week or two ago. The other question, of course, being, how many companies want to use Meta's OS versus maybe looking at the thing that Google and Samsung are working on together. Um,
Yeah, and the HTC headset that we talked about, I think we talked about here,
maybe.
doesn't use that.
Oh
It
yeah,
still
no,
uses whatever HTC's thing is.
their Vive, whatever was running on Vive.
It's some Android or other. So yeah, so new hardware, old hardware's gone. They're talking about the games available on this again. Um, if you're confused, if you have a Quest 3, don't buy anything new. This is not the S is not the upgrade. It's a slightly worse one.
Um,
Um, so yeah, so that's the Quest stuff. They also Meta also talked about a couple other things. One thing I forgot to put in the notes. Um, where is it? Trying to find it. Well, I've tried to find the blog post. They announced a updated version of their Llama generative AI model, which is my understanding is it's one of the like better ones that's open source and you can run locally. Here it is. Okay. Kind of the thing that stood out to me here is the new version of the model. It's in the YouTube chat. Uh, supports vision input, so it can understand images, and that's kind of cool because there's not a lot of local models for doing that. There's like Lava and kind of the other ones based on that. Um, but I would imagine this is a little bit better than that because it's trained on all of the things that Meta indexed without permission with all of their servers. So maybe some cool software stuff that'll come out of this. I did download the new Llama model in my LM Studio app, and it does work. I haven't downloaded the Vision one to try that, but kind of neat. Also, the they talked about some updates for their Ray-Ban glasses that I don't care about, and then they also talked about a different AR glasses thing that they're calling Orion, which is basically a Quest headset, but in eyeglasses and only like augmented reality. So this is the like thing that overlays 3D things in your environment, but like isn't a headset. And they're doing this with a combination of glasses that look really ugly, a wristband that is supposed to detect like gestures, so you can do things like pinch to interact with the screen because you're not holding a controller, and this I don't think has like any kind of it might I don't know if it has pass through or like hand sensing, but that's the main like quote unquote input device. And then there is most of the computer guts are in like a little like pod thing that I guess you stick in your pocket. And yeah, like some of the demos they were talking about, or there's a video in here of a demo which I'm sure is very real. And The Verge also posted a video showing this that looked kind of a little bit impressive, but this is still a prototype. And everything I was watching The Verge's video about this, and like every single thing they showed is something where I feel like it will break immediately in the real world.
Yeah.
Like I've used a lot of the hand tracking stuff on my Quest 3, which has actual like cameras attached to my face looking at what my hands are doing, and it's still really janky sometimes. And this has less data to work with, and the hands are the only input method. On my Quest, I give up and I use the controllers half the time. So I'm not confident that works well. I'm a little bit scared of the fact that I guess it's like constantly beaming 3D model information and the display from that puck thing to the glasses because it's completely wireless. So I feel like that isn't gonna work all that well.
So you're worried about getting irradiated.
I'm not worried about getting irradiated. I'm worried about like I walk past someone using Bluetooth earbuds and then my glasses die because there's like just a little bit too much interference.
There's a part of me that really wishes I had a soundboard with the sound of like what happened to speakers anytime a cell phone would get a call back in those days.
Yeah.
When that was a thing. Yeah, any sort of wireless or what's known as
and also the glasses are just really ugly, so that's the worst part, obviously.
Yeah. But any sort of personal wireless network, also known as a PAN, a personal area network. These are kind of notoriously fragile. Usually they're kind of ramped up, but for short range. So they can usually transmit a decent amount of data, but yeah, they're again very fragile. They tend not to do well if there's interference or even a competing signal, which raises some questions about is this something that's only going to work when maybe there's new wireless standards that can account for that, and obviously like maybe more bandwidth, more frequency range to play around with. So let's see. Yeah, I could see them obviously struggling with something like this in the real world. In lab tests, it's kind of neat. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is also where we start reaching into the area where you just have to have cables if you're going to be out in the world.
And then you have really ugly glasses and a cable going down your
Yeah.
body for this. So
well, the other way to go,
yeah.
I'm going to throw this around as an idea. The other way to go is if it's kind of built into, let's say, a jacket. Not that this is the best example of it, but I think back to
you got like your hoodie and it's covering everything.
Sort of. But a little less ridiculous. I was thinking sort of like, think back to that jacket that came out with Project Jacquard. It was Google's thing where they made denim that you could touch. It was basically like a trackpad on your sleeve that you could kind of do gestures with. It wasn't very good, and it was you could only wash it, I think, 5 times in its entire life. It was allowed to be washed 5 times. But whatever. Anyway, Yeah, so that was a that was the sort of thing where it's not entirely impractical to, once you have like the puck built into your jacket, it wouldn't be that crazy to have a wire running up just from your collar to the glasses or something like that. Um, and likewise, that same, or a wire could also run down your sleeve to your wrist strap. Though to be fair, I think the wrist strap's probably transmitting so little data that that could endure a little bit of interference. But I don't know that this is quite ready for real world. And even they said their manufacturing cost was way too high to get this out to normal people. Like it's just not ready to be a product given how much it costs to manufacture these glasses, which I assume is because of the display technology. None of the rest of it sounds like it would require anything too elaborate. It seems like the display technology has to be the big deal here.
Yeah, it's still a prototype for now. They're not even promising that this will be out at any point anytime soon. Yeah, I know you have to start somewhere. But I'm just looking at this. I'm like, everything about this will stop working at the least convenient time. I want nothing to do with this.
Yeah, well, and you said it, and if you hadn't, I was about to. You got to start somewhere. Look, I'm all in favor of prototypes, and hey, I even kind of want to congratulate them on doing something tech companies don't do very well these days, which is say, like, actually show off, hey, here's just a thing we're working on. We think it's really cool, and we'd like to show people this thing. Back in the day, like, yeah, Xerox PARC used to be that. That's where Apple got all the ideas that they stole, and then everyone blames Windows for stealing from Apple. That was funny. Your microphone popping into view.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn off the background because whenever I lean over, it's like, oh, you're part of the microphone's part of you now. So I'm just gonna go back to normal background.
Anyway, yeah. So, I think it's good that they're working on this. There's a part of me that can't help but look at this and also think, hey, they're gonna spend like 5-8 years developing this thing, and just as soon as they have a product ready to come to market, someone else is gonna copy it in like 6 months and have it out there for like 60% the price and probably nearly as good. So, but hey, good. At least this is bringing the technology to market that will eventually be worth it. The weird thing to me is Facebook is not the company I think of for hardware development or design or R&D. They have the money for it, sure, but they're not out there developing similar technologies, which leaves me wondering, like the major display companies, Samsung, Sony, LG, where are they in this? I feel like they've got to be out there developing something like this too. They're just not showing it off yet. And if that's the case, maybe, who's to say in 2 years, like maybe the next CES or something, or whatever event makes sense, one of them will pop up and say, oh yeah, by the way, here's something we were working on. Just like, honestly, this happened with folding displays too. They suddenly popped up, and once one company showed off what they were working on, Samsung, then a few others, like the very next year, were like, oh yeah, no, we've been working on this too. Here's what we have. Mm-hmm. And maybe they were a little behind Samsung, but they still had a lot of stuff figured out or working. I wouldn't be surprised if someone else is working on this too. And just because Facebook showed it off first, it doesn't mean they're the furthest along. Which would be kind of funny if in 2 years, all of a sudden, 6 companies are all going to come out with glasses just like this, but they're cheaper, lightweight, can be developed sort of at scale or manufactured at scale. I don't know that that'll happen. I just think it'd be neat if it does.
Yeah.
Also,
And,
I don't
as
want
silly
Facebook
as
going in
these,
this space.
yeah, I am not buying the Facebook glasses. I know I said that about the VR headset too. But the glasses don't have a fun game on them.
Yet, sir. Yet.
Yeah. And as dumb as these glasses look, someone wearing a Vision Pro still looks like more of a dork. So
Yes.
there's that. Or a Quest, whatever.
Well,
insert giant helmet here.
You. Sorry, I'm now just picturing Lord Helmet. Anyway, look, this is definitely on par with like Google Glass. Obviously the Vision Pro and Quest stuff are more ridiculous, but this is on par with Google Glass. It's something that if anyone saw you walking around wearing these, their immediate reaction is going to be, I'm going to go to that place across the street. This place sucks now. Like, no one wants to be around you wearing these. Not that anyone's going to be walking around wearing these yet, but if something like this came out and they're big, clunky glasses like this, someone's definitely thinking, I'm on a prank show, or there's at least a camera hidden in there, and it's like looking through my clothes or something. There's something up. And yeah, I could see reasons for people to just kind of not want to be around this yet. But if these can get shrunk down to a reasonable size, I could see it being fairly normal. Okay.
Imagine wearing this on the subway. I mean, I'm sure there are stranger things happening on many subways than someone wearing this. So.
Yes, there are.
Also, imagine having a subway. We barely have buses here.
Yeah, there's only what, like 4 cities in the US that have decent subways, I think.
I would not have assumed it was that many.
Well, I suppose decent is also relative, but I mean, New York, I know
right.
Residents of New York will maybe not argue that they're decent, but whatever. They're usable. San Francisco has subways and they're useful, kind of.
Right.
DC
has,
and if I remember, maybe I've got this wrong, but I want to say, I thought I remember hearing Boston had decent subways. Well, if not Boston, you know what? On a technicality, we can count LA. LA does have subways. I honestly have never seen them, but I know they exist. Which
I didn't know they existed.
Yeah, actually, if you
honestly, the only one I've been on in like anywhere is the DC one, and that was pretty cool. And I liked that it looked exactly like the DC subways in Fallout 3. It made me feel like I was in the game.
Oh, nice. Except also, I'm not sure I would want to feel like I was in Fallout 3.
No.
Fallout 3 in real life sounds like a pretty sketch place to be. But yeah, the way I know LA has subways is because of 2 movies that very specifically both made fun of the fact that nobody knows LA has subways. One of them was Lethal Weapon 4. The other one was, I believe it was called Volcano. One of the disaster movies of the early 2000s. Yeah, in both of them, they go down into the subways, and both of them make fun of the fact that hardly anyone knows LA has subways. But yeah, seriously, I've driven around LA a number of times. I've literally never seen any sign they have subways. So I don't know where the hell they are. But I've taken San Francisco's many times, so I know that's a thing. Um, let's see. DC Brutalist Architecture. Carson coming in strong with the perfect photo. Jeez. Is this one you took,
Yeah.
or is that
Um,
that's so perfectly lined up? I feel like that's got to be a photographer's shot. But
yeah, that looks like. I mean, I think all the stations look like that, or at least several of them. That does look like one of the stations I was at.
not your photo. Okay. I had a feeling it wasn't, just because, man, that
I'll find my photo. I'll do that.
I know that this is a weird point to make, but anytime something is so perfectly centered, and you can tell because, like, you can line up that center line with the line of the ceiling, and you can tell they're perfectly lined up. No normal person does this. Only photographers go to that level of detail. Anyway, yeah, so imagine riding the subway with some of these glasses. You would definitely get robbed, like, immediately.
Okay.
Honestly, I kind of want to see
I
somebody
found.
ride the subway with Vision Pros.
I did find my picture. Is it embedded? Yeah, there it goes. Okay, I put it in the Discord.
And I
So
have
that's
put
the
it on
one I was
stream.
in. Okay. What was that shot with? Galaxy S21
Okay.
with, if I recall correctly, some Lightroom editing.
I believe it.
So yeah, that's the silly glasses. What else we got?
Well, that is all the topics that we prepared.
Excellent.
So, yeah, I don't have anything else readily available, unless there are any other topics that you have in mind.
No, I mean, I've been traveling for the past like 5 days, and I just got back yesterday, so I've been out of the loop. I haven't even installed all the Apple updates, because I was holding off, because installing a major iOS update like a couple days before I go on a trip, that sounds like a bad idea. That sounds like something you should not do. So I'll probably do that tonight, is like do a full backup of my phone, and then iOS 18 it, and then put the new Mac OS on my laptop. It's already on my Mac Mini. Um, and then I'll get to try the iPhone mirroring stuff and report back.
Cool. I have not updated to the latest macOS version yet, because frankly, I have heard enough complaints that weird things are broken and stuff's not working, and it's not super bad, but I've heard just enough that I'm kind of like, I'm okay waiting. You know, I'll give it until a .1 release. That should be coming in the next week or so, and yeah, I'm good with that. In the meantime, I did update at least their latest security updates. So
Kirby said, I heard there's loads of issues with the new macOS version. I mean, I have not noticed anything weird on mine. That is my individual experience. Take that with what you will. But also, Cody, since you don't use an iPhone, there's also almost nothing in the update that matters. So that's not really a trade-off that makes sense right now.
yeah,
So,
that really is a big part of it too. Is I have zero incentive to actually make that update. That said, I do have.
and also the point one update is coming next month. So
Yeah,
presumably that will have some fixes in addition to
AI.
the AI stuff, which I will get on my M1 Max. Again, Apple has not given me a reason to upgrade, but also it doesn't really seem like a lot of the stuff I care about. Um, the new wallpaper is the only feature to me. I will say the native window snapping is kind of nice. I still have Magnet installed on my Mac Mini, ready to go back if I decide so. But on here, it's fine. I'll have to try it on my laptop where it might be more annoying with the padding. But yeah, that's literally the only improvement. And then also like the backgrounds that I'm using. That's a Sonoma, or not Sonoma. What's the new one called?
Oh boy.
Sequoia.
Yeah.
Sequoia. So that's it. Those are the two things that are new. I've not really noticed anything else. Kirby said my M1 Pro MacBook Air is getting upgraded to the M5 Pro. Nice. Yeah, I maybe I'll upgrade something next year. I don't know. Again, I don't really have a reason to. It depends on if I'm actually going to get a house or not, because if not, that would be money better spent on house things, or a vacation or anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not really that eager to upgrade my M1 Pro. Or sorry, I should say M1 Max MacBook Pro. The Max is carrying a lot of weight in terms of like giving me a good long lifespan on this thing. That being said, I think by the time an M5 MacBook Pro is out, I could maybe see a reason to start looking at an upgrade. Because we don't know how long that's going to be, but I think because the event that's coming up in October is only supposed to bring in M4 Pros. Or M4 MacBook Pros, and that's going to be the Pro and Max chips. So, if I don't upgrade now, it's the M5 MacBook Pros are probably not going to be here for at least a year, maybe a year and a half. I think by that time I'll be good and ready for an upgrade. Even like not even an upgrade, it'll just be a replacement for like age. Because I have had no compulsion whatsoever to, or no motivation to upgrade to the M2, the M3. Now the M4 is coming. Like, I don't care. I guess for AI stuff, not that I use AI hardly at all, but maybe they will come out with something by the time the M5s are out. Like, that's where it's at. And most people should feel this way. Honestly, like, that's the big thing. Most people should feel the way I'm feeling about this. Like, if there's not much of a reason anyone should be rushing to update versions unless they have some specific need for a very specific technology that any given M chip supports. Like Zach has mentioned nested virtualization and a few of the other features like that. There are some benefits for specific M chips where you might have a reason to upgrade. But most people, if you're on a decent M1 chip with a decent amount of RAM, you're fine. I'd be shocked if most people need to upgrade. Though when gaming becomes more of a thing, we'll see what happens.
It won't. That's the thing also, like, that could get me to upgrade. Like, right now, I'm looking at the preview videos for Planet Coaster 2, and that's a game I would like to play, but it does not appear that they're working on a Mac version, and it will not work very well on my extremely old gaming PC, and I don't want to play it on my Xbox. Because it is a park sim building game, and that sounds awful on a controller. Mm-hmm. So that is a game I would like to play on a Mac. And if it runs on a Mac, that is a good justification for me to dump money in the Mac, because then I could do my work faster and play Planet Coaster 2. But that is not the case as of yet. So Yeah, that'll be something I evaluate next year, along with iPhone stuff. Like I'm not upgrading iPhone right now because my 15 is fine. Well, it's fine except it randomly gets warm. So if that's still an issue after the iOS 18 update, I might need to like factory reset or do other things. But except for that, my phone is fine. So I'm guessing next year, when the 17 comes out, I'll evaluate my options and either upgrade to a 17 or upgrade to a 16 for a lot cheaper. Or if this is fine by then, I'll just pay Apple the $100 to put a new battery in this and keep going. We'll see what option makes the most sense. Don't know what my financial situation will be a year from now.
Right. Yeah, as a side thought,
And also I could go with the fun angle where I sell the Mac Mini and my MacBook Air and just get like a nice spec'd up Pro and do the desktop dock thing that a lot of people seem to do. I still don't really like that. I feel like it wears out the battery more, but maybe it's fine.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have any real buying plans lined up, mostly because I kind of like to save some money. But one thing, and I'm sure Kirby will be happy to hear this, I am kind of, I'm trying to, I'd like to make a gaming rig part of the plans for the not too distant future. But along the way, I'm not ruling out getting the, like I said, an M5 laptop, and somewhere next year, because I will have run Kirby, exactly, Borderlands 4, you know it. But I would, so I have a couple of cell phone upgrades coming up in the next few months, and as such, I'm kind of looking at that thinking, you know what, if I can, it'd be kind of nice to get into the iPhone loop. So if there's a reasonably priced trade-in option, or a good trade-in option, or reasonably priced, like it's not going to be too impactful, I think I'm going to try to finally get an iPhone next year. So the next iPhone that comes out. And then seeing as Google didn't really do a whole lot with Pixels this year, at least I don't think so. I didn't bother getting a Pixel 9, but I have a feeling that with the Pixel 10, that'll be a good one to pick up. Even if just because, hey, why not? I'll be trading out at least one Pixel by then, so that'll be a good one to move into. Carson, yes, the Borderlands 4 is definitely going to be on PS5, Series X. Should be on Series S too, but you know.
And Cody has an S now.
Yes, I do, and we could actually talk about that for a few minutes. But Borderlands 5 also obviously going to be on PC. Right now, there's no sign it's going to be on Mac. Those a-holes. Come on.
I'm shocked.
You cowards at Gearbox. Bring
that
it
could
to
be
Mac.
the one Mac game for the year. They should do it.
Well, evidently now the one for the year is going to be Assassin's Creed, because that has been pushed back to 2025.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. So, Series S. Oh boy. Series S. I have thoughts on this. One, well, most of my thoughts, I'm going to start with controller. Because I have a lot of feelings about the controller. One, I actually, here's something I'm going to say. Carson, you actually asked me if I had anything good to say about the the Series S. I do have definitely one thing to say about the Series S. The larger controller, I know for some people, not good. But the Xbox controllers are a bit larger than the PlayStation controllers, and for somebody who has pretty large hands, or fairly large hands, or good finger reach, which is a term I feel I should probably have never
Don't
said
say
on the
that.
internet.
I don't want to hear that ever again.
Exactly. But for someone with hands my size, this controller is actually kind of nicer. I notice I don't have kind of the same clutch feeling that I have with the PlayStation controller. That being said, I still actually like the feel of the PlayStation controllers more. So, if I had a choice, I'd probably still be playing on that. But the larger controller does have that perk. I absolutely do not get why they swap the locations of the left thumbstick and the D-pad. Swap them back, morons. They're in the wrong places.
Are you? I think Xbox always did that, right?
Yeah, I think they always did, but they're the only
you're
ones
comparing
who
it
want
to
this.
you're comparing it to the Sony that has them both at the bottom.
Sony puts
Yeah.
both thumbsticks on the bottom with the D-pad at the top left, and they're most controllers throughout history have done what Sony is doing. Microsoft had to be different, and there are others who have also copied what Microsoft is doing. They're wrong. So anyway, there's that part of it. Let's see. I also
I've not used the PlayStation 5 controller. My understanding is that the people who have used it say that's a lot better. But I do like the current Xbox controller is fine. For me, like it's comfortable enough. I like the one thing that they kind of improved over the one controllers is a little bit more like grippy. Like it does a better job of, like, if your hands are a little bit sweaty, it's not like a bar of soap. Which is something I ran into with the Quest 3 controllers, and I had to buy a grippy cover for them. So yeah, generally, and the nice thing is that they still use the same like X input API, so they work with like everything. So you can pair them to iPhones and Android phones and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and that's one thing where Sony certainly kind of did the debag thing. They've been a lot more restrictive about what controllers you can use on their systems, which I get it, but I also think that's not a good thing. Let's see, Carson. You say I'm the only, or I would be the only Borderlands Mac person. No. I look. I'm not saying that it would be a runaway success if they just come out with it on Mac, but I would bet real money if they release a Mac version of Borderlands 4. I bet their sales would be high enough that whoever is in control of that would immediately say, "Oh yeah, no, we're doing this from now on." That game will sell high numbers to Mac users if they were to do it. Anyway, let's see. So another thing about Xbox controllers, and it's funny because I just said that Sony was kind of a jerk about what controllers they allow on the system. Now I get to complain about Microsoft being a jerk because, as we discussed last night, it is so much harder to get a microphone to work with an Xbox. Like any microphone, not just ones that are approved. When I play on PlayStation, if I am trying to be part of chat, I plug in a USB mic. The PS4 is totally cool with this. Has no objections. I plug in a USB microphone directly into the Xbox, and it's like, the new phone number, who dis? Like, it will not hear of it. Why is that? Why? Like, that's not a big ask. That
This
is
is
insane.
entirely just like the Apple Lightning licensing. Like it's just like you could make this very simple, but you want licensing money. Like the Xbox, it's like heavily modified Windows, so you should be able to work with all this stuff, and I'm sure it does. But yeah, that's been mine. That's been one of my annoying things with my Series X, and I got their official Xbox gamer headset on sale, which uses Bluetooth, so it sucks. Like it just like constantly disconnects on me. I wish there was like a better thing there. I think there's like USB headsets that work with Xbox that use like the same like 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection that like wireless PC headsets do. But I have one of those headsets for PC. I should be able to use that with the Xbox instead of buying something else. But
yeah, and to me, I really only want wired. I'm not one of those people who's super, oh my god, I need the lowest latency, but I am one of those people who sort of sits there and goes, you know what? I don't want to deal with wireless interference. Because look, I'm playing inside of an office that is fairly tiny, and I have a lot of electronics in here.
because you're reviewing all those routers right now, and all of them are on at the same time.
Not quite, but I do actually.
Cody is dying from RF radiation right now.
Actually, that's probably true.
Please donate in the chat for his medical bills after reviewing 15 routers at once.
Yeah, it won't be the routers though. It's all the NAS boxes. Because in all seriousness, I actually have a lot of NAS boxes hooked up. But yeah, it's I like wired wherever I can on this sort of thing, and it's a little maddening to me that that's not. Well, I haven't looked into too many things, but it's maddening to me that I can't just, in the USB-A ports in the Xbox, I can't just plug in a microphone. That seems like a normal thing.
Yeah, I think that's the most like anti-consumer thing that they do, aside from the Series X and X using their stupid proprietary SSDs. Instead of just NVMe like Sony does. Those two things are like the worst. I'm everything else is actually like surprisingly pro-consumer.
It is really weird. Both companies have their anti-consumer things, and they're different things that they're anti-consumer about.
Yeah, it's like if you have a Series X, you can play the disc games you bought like 20 years ago, but like if you want to plug in your own headphones, you can just die. You just die. Don't do that.
Which, on that note, I did many years ago, I believe somewhere in the neighborhood of probably about 10 years ago, I did actually buy Killer Instinct. It came out in 2013, and yeah, 100% loaded it up, been occasionally hopping in and playing it. It's, it's an older game, but plays fine. Though I will say the controller layout is terrible for fighting games. And that's not because of this. It's like any controller in this type of shape is going to be terrible for fighting games. You really want a fight stick like arcade style configuration, and yeah, so it's kind of hard to play the game properly, but it is what it is. So yeah, I do appreciate though that there are some old games that I could just pop in and play. Not that I bought very many of them that weren't on discs, so there is that, but whatever. I also have found the interface just kind of annoying. The PlayStation interface is just, it's better. To me, a lot of the things, and I would compare the controller quality. Like if I was comparing the Xbox controller to the PlayStation controller in terms of build quality, I would say that this is sort of like comparing an iPhone versus I don't know. Maybe like an earlier Pixel phone. Not current Pixel phones are pretty nice, but like the Pixel 1, you know, it was well made, but it wasn't spectacular. And I would like that's kind of where Sony controllers versus Xbox controllers are. Like there's a very tangible build quality difference between them. And I would say the same is true with the interface. The Xbox interface is fine, but it's janky. It's weird. There are little things that behave wrong. Like you can hit something and go into a screen, and then you hit a button to back out of that, and it doesn't take you back to the screen you were on. It takes you to a different screen. Like that's Android's back gesture to a T. Like not current back gesture, but where it was like 6 years ago, where you might just enter a screen, hit back, and it takes you somewhere else. It shouldn't do that, but it does. And that's something I never saw with Sony's interface. Sony was pretty good about not doing that stuff. Otherwise, you know, cheers. The Series S definitely can do higher frame rates than the PS4 could with like Overwatch. Some stuff moves smoother, some stuff looks nicer. I've noticed some weird audio glitchiness, which is hard to explain, but I think that might just be the wireless signal with the interference in my room.
Yeah, I mean, I like, yeah, the I don't super duper love the like home screen setup. I know you can move apps into like categories and then have them at certain places on your home screen. So like for me, because that. Yeah, you can do that. So like that for me, oh thanks, Apple. With my Xbox, because I also use it as my streaming thing, I put all my like streaming apps into a collection, whatever it's called, I don't know. And then I put that as like the second thing when I scroll down. So just all my apps are there, so that's a little bit nicer. Wait, I will say with the Xbox software, I really, really like Quick Resume. That is like the best Xbox thing, IMO. I very rarely see the main menus for games because they're just always loaded. It is also I think PlayStation probably does something like this too, but I do like that. Again, they're very anti-consumer about the audio stuff, but they're very flexible with like external storage. So if you plug in an external hard drive or SSD on one of the USB ports, you can use that for like storing the screenshots, storing your recordings, and you can also move any Xbox One or older games to that. You can't move the series games because those need the like internal SSD speeds or the speeds of their super proprietary thing, but like everything else can go on the other drive. So
okay,
that's kind of nice if you're like, I've got a bit, I know you have a lot of hard drives, so you could put one of those over, you know, put some games on that to free up the minimal amount of space on the internal drive.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'm gonna go looking for other games to add. Like, we'll see. I might pick up a few, but for the most part, I'm reasonably full with the ones that I have. Though, as I've said numerous times, I'm thinking Fall Guys might be joining the graveyard shortly. But yeah,
I mean, whatever you get, and also Xbox does the same thing as Steam, where you can add games to your wish list and they'll email you when it's on sale. So that's been my strat for cheap games. I just put anything I care about on that list and then I get them when they're dirt cheap.
Yeah, I have actually gone through the store and picked out a few random things that I threw on the wish list. I don't know that I'll ever get them, but no harm in putting them on. The biggest thing is is it everything or almost everything? I'm not quite sure, but certainly I think at least everything that is coming to mind right now, it was all stuff that when I look at it, I thought, yeah, this is available on PC and I bet it's cheaper. So if I could build a gaming rig, every one of them would just like it's more efficient once that gaming rig is built. So, obviously the gaming rig itself costs more, but yeah, that would just make it more reasonable to go that route.
I can get with your strat of like long term getting a PC, why you'd maybe not want to dump that much money into the Xbox ecosystem.
Exactly. And to be fair, some of the stuff that you could buy on Xbox, you could just then play on a PC. So there is that, but certainly that's not everything. So yeah, I'm leaning towards that sort of a strategy. Plus, if timing were to work out, I could theoretically even sell this Series S, and put that money toward getting or building a PC. So, yeah, but then have to deal with Windows.
That's a good point.
Believe me, I know, but
the Xbox is Windows, but with all the annoying crap removed. And also
I wouldn't
removed
say
the ability
that.
to use your own audio devices.
No,
that's true. There are ads. There are ads on the Xbox as well. So,
no, here's the thing. I talk a ton of trash about Windows. Rightfully so, because anyone who doesn't is just, look, you're putting up with that. You're putting up with bad stuff. I'm just saying. But look, I lived Windows since Windows 3.0. I started back in the DOS days, and
this is where it's left to you.
Yeah,
this is where it's left to you in a small room with 10 routers irradiating you.
Something like that. But no, look, I'm used to Windows. Granted, I haven't been using it in a long time, and man, I'll tell you, if it weren't for other things that are bringing my sanity to a crashing, thunderous failure, the fact of the matter is, I can deal with Windows. Like, that's no big deal. Windows is annoying. It's ugly. It's broken. It's bad. But, look, I'm not afraid of Windows. It's just a thing that can be annoying. And otherwise, like, I've done development on Windows for years. I still have Windows VMs that I load up, not terribly often, but I have. So I'm fine with Windows. I don't love it. I'd rather not have to use it. I think it'd be kind of nice if we could just get a good gaming Mac situation going. But realistically, yeah, I'm fine with running Windows.
It's more tolerable with the new terminal app and WSL. It's a little bit better.
Yes,
but
because,
also
because
it
all
will
anyone running Windows wants to do is use a terminal app.
Well, it's important for me. But yeah, I don't enjoy every time I boot up my gaming PC and it asks me something stupid in a full screen pop-up. It's like, oh, do you want to finish setting up your PC? Which is the fun way we describe as changing the web browser. And the last one I got was like, hey, your PC isn't backed up. Don't you want to back up your, documents folder and desktop to OneDrive? And I'm like, no, because this is the gaming PC and there's no files in there I care about.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun.
Yeah. So yeah, look, and there are a lot of reasons I'd actually kind of like to have a decent Windows desktop just in existence. Some of which actually, as weird as this is, and I think a lot of people would have trouble believing this, I legitimately really want one so that I can use expansion cards again. For example, I really want to put a 10 gigabit NIC into a desktop. You can get USB-C 10 gigabit Ethernet adapters, but oh my god, those things are so stupidly overpriced. And they have a really bad history with overheating. Whereas you can get
one of those for like
$75 on an adapter or on a regular card, and plug that in, you're good to go.
Yeah, you can also go to town, get an internal Blu-ray drive if you want to be real fancy.
No,
that's what I had in my not my gaming PC, but my custom Hope server I built. That then I didn't use all that much because I could not find OS for it that I didn't hate.
I'm sorry, but dude, physical media is one thing. If
you could also just you could have some fun and put like a floppy drive in there, or one of those like old timey things where it used it put like a little drink tray pop out on that slot. That'd be fun.
Okay.
Because if there's one thing you should have next to your expensive gaming PC, it's fluids in an open container.
Unironically, I actually have used tape backups. I have somewhere in this house tape backups.
Yeah, because you were born in the 1800s.
Yes, when tape backups were invented, along with.
I remember Benjamin Franklin talking about that.
Yeah, little known fact.
The
tape
records
backups
for
and
his
muskets
hundreds
were
of slaves
in the same year.
Yeah, the founding fathers said you should have the right to have tape backups.
Yes,
and also defensive nukes.
Yeah, yes, they said this through their wooden teeth. Yeah, and I was born 3 years later.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, I mostly like my Series X.
Yeah.
It's a good little box. I simply download the games to it and I play it, and most of the time it works. Weirdly, the game I've had the most issues with was I just finished Doom 2016. And I was having I had a couple crashes with that game, and I had one issue where it was crashing on startup while trying to wake from quick resume, and there wasn't a way to turn that off. So I had to re-download the game, and then let it sync everything again, and then it was fine. But that was annoying.
Makes sense.
And then I had a couple crashes in Starfield and Fallout 4, but those are Bethesda Game Studios open world games, so that's part of the experience.
Yeah.
Quick resume is nice, but usually glitches on online games. Yeah, I believe that. I do remember. I think when I tried to play Fall Guys on there a couple times, it'll wake up, and then as soon as I would open the game, be like, "Oh, you're not connected anymore. We're closing the game now." It doesn't know what to do.
So I've actually, when you brought up quick resume,
you said Fall Guys, yeah.
I have had specifically the experience where, and this isn't the biggest thing, but I noticed that Overwatch 2 kind of doesn't like quick resume too much. It's not terrible, but yeah, as soon as, if anything happens that would trigger quick resume, the first thing that you get on the quick resume is it pops up the screen saying, "We lost connection, hit a button to do this." And so you hit a button, and then it takes you to the regular screen where you have to hit the same button again just so you can get into the game. And it's at this point, just don't support quick resume.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a thing developers can turn off.
Well, true. Or, okay, then in that case, just detect it and try to move past it somehow. I don't know. There's got to be something they can do. But yeah, hey, that's a minor issue. I'm not complaining too much about it. There's a lot of and this is kind of like Windows in general. there's a lot of stuff that you can just tell they had good ideas, and then in the course of implementing them, they didn't consider, oh, here's a thing that's probably going to look kind of janky. And I feel like I see a lot of that throughout Xbox. I mean, it's not enough to like break the experience, but it's enough that if you're detail oriented, you notice it and kind of it just makes you go, guys, did no one notice this? I mean, it's not a big deal, but did no one notice this? Could no one fix this? So yeah, I'm not trying to say this as like being super critical about this. I'm just aware of it. Overall, it's probably still nicer than, you know, playing on the PS4. Certainly, I like the fact that I can play Overwatch 2, where loading into the start of a game, all the character models actually load in by the start, instead of watching blue dots float around in the air for, you know, like 5-10 seconds. And there are, Corbin heard me talking about some of the other issues that I had with Overwatch in the past on PS4, like Diva's bomb ult. The voice line for that wouldn't necessarily load up until somebody used it, and oh man, hearing that voice line late really means you're gonna die. If you hear it on time, you can probably do something. If you hear that late, you're probably dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's lots of little improvements. It's certainly nicer running on more recent hardware. That said, I still think a PC would probably be way nicer. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the main thrust of the Series S experience. I guess I've used up, you know, between the... Okay, so I have installed 4 games. One of them I have not opened yet, but I've installed Fall Guys, Overwatch 2, and Killer Instinct. I did also install Fallout 76. Is this a mistake?
I've not played it on Xbox at all because all of my progress was on PC, and they have no cross-play, cross-progression, anything.
Is the game a mistake as a whole?
I mean, it's fine. You know, it's not my favorite Fallout, but I you know, when I played it on PC, the story is like fine. It's fun to run around in. I still really like the building stuff. Most of the reason, a big part of the reason I didn't like Starfield is because I was expecting them to port over a lot of the good building mechanics from 76, and they did not. So that was disappointing to me. It's really fun to build bases in 76 because you could just pick anywhere in the open world, most places in the open world, and build stuff. So, yeah, it's there.
Yeah, so I don't know that I'll play it. I just downloaded it because it was there and it didn't cost anything. I think I got it as like a free game from Amazon or something at some point. I'm not really sure how it ended up on my account, but I have it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not free to play, right?
No.
Okay. So yeah, somehow I have it.
It's yeah.
I
know it's I believe it's included in the lowest tier Game Pass, like the one you need for online.
Right.
But I'm assuming you don't have that.
I do not have it yet. And it's good you brought that up. I forgot to mention that. So I am going to take advantage of the $1 trial of Game Pass, but I'm going to wait to do this. I'm specifically waiting because right now, for those who are paying any attention, and Corbin I'm sure knows this, Game Pass with Overwatch 2, they are currently running a thing where if you sign up before a certain date, uh, within a certain window, you get 6 free skins, some mythic prisms, which that's a whole thing I won't bother explaining. But it's a currency for buying some cooler skins. And I thought there was maybe something else in that, but I don't remember. Anyway, I figured what I'm going to do, because right now they've only announced one of these things happening. But they did imply that there would probably be things in the future. So what I figured I'm going to do is wait until very close to the cutoff date for this thing, and then I'm just going to sign up for Game Pass Ultimate with the $1. And if they have a second one of these things that starts in the following week, then yay, I will have gotten two of these cycles worth of perks for the cost of $1. And after that point, whenever I want Game Pass, I will use Bing reward points for it, because it doesn't cost that much that way. It effectively costs no money, except I always trade those in for Amazon credit, so it's kind of costing money, but not a lot. So
Yeah, and also keep in mind, I know you said you're not gonna buy that many games on Xbox, but I think this still applies when you're just like paying for like 1 month or whatever.
yeah, buy them on Game Pass because you get discounts.
Yeah, Game Pass has discounts, and then also anything like you get a lot of discounts on just random stuff in the store through that, but also anything on Game Pass itself has a discount if you want to buy it to keep. So
right.
And some of those would have cross purchase with PC, a few of them.
Yeah, so what I'll probably do is whenever I have a reason to activate Game Pass, like perks for Overwatch, for example, then what I'll probably do is just burn some Bing reward points, get the Game Pass for the month. Then yeah, I'll go through as many games as I can find on Game Pass that I'm interested in trying. I'll just do a day or two of binging, and then once I find some stuff that I like, then maybe I'll pick one or two that are going to be like, all right, here's a keeper. I'll pick this up, and it'll just stick with me after Game Pass expires. I think that's how I'll do it. I don't have any like hard plans about it, but yeah, it's there. The thing is, I'm not playing anything that requires Game Pass for online play. At least I don't think I am. Unless Fallout does. Maybe that one does. And
I don't know.
Yeah, other than that, like, I don't really have much reason for Game Pass. I don't game so many hours, or I don't have so many hours to game that I want to like have a giant library of stuff, and most of what I'm playing is free to play. So Fallout 76 does okay.
I'm probably not gonna renew my Game Pass after my stocked up subscription ends, because I'm not playing that many of the new games, and I've now discovered that it's very affordable to just put all the old games I care slightly about on the wish list and wait for them to get incredibly cheap. So
yeah,
that's more economical.
Yeah, and
although I don't know, depends on I do use the cloud gaming occasionally, and that is nice. So I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. And look, you know, Game Pass. I still think Game Pass is actually a pretty compelling thing. Granted, the higher or the price increase. Is it here now, or is it just coming? I don't remember. Anyway.
Yeah, it's already in play.
Okay. You know, I still think it makes sense for the right user or the right customer. I'm just not that right customer. That's the thing. Which is the same discussion that we've had about so many things lately. If you're not the right customer for a thing, just shrug and move on. It's just not for you. So yeah, I'm probably not going to be rushing to use Game Pass very often. And when I do, I'll pick a day or two and just binge the value out of it, and that'll be that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows, that might turn into the, like, game streams once a month are just going to be suddenly, like, instead of just playing Fall Guys and some Overwatch, all of a sudden it'll be like, all right, I'm trying 10 games on stream today. I doubt it'll be 10 download times. I'm sure horrible, but
You should also add me on Xbox if you haven't.
good point. I don't think I have. In fact, well,
I don't know what my thingy is.
Never say those words again.
Yeah.
But yeah. In fact, I only, to my knowledge, I think I only have 3 people friended on Xbox. And it was 2 people from college and 1 person from roughly that time period. So
I cannot figure out how to share the link to my thing. Okay, here it is. Make a link. Jesus.
Can you not just search for people by name?
I think you can, but they also do. I think they still do like the Discord thing of like there's like random numbers attached to the end.
So my current name, which I'm not going to stick with, but my current name has no numbers. It's on the old gamertag system. And what I have discovered is also if you're switching to a gamertag that no one has taken, you don't get numbers. Which is interesting.
Okay. Well, I sent you my link.
Okay. So I shall... Wait, where's the window? Okay.
Preston said you could try the Xbox game streaming. Yeah, I guess you could do that on your Mac, but...
is that the game is playing on your Xbox, but you're just playing from another place?
I think he was talking about when you sign up for Ultimate, you could do just the cloud streaming.
Oh, why?
Faster than downloading a game, I guess.
Oh, okay.
That's about it.
That makes sense. Yeah, for a second it's like, wait, what's the benefit here? I don't get it. Okay, we are friends, or at least I've sent you a friend request. I'm not sure.
Okay.
If that technically.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, weird. This says that it shows me as online. I have had it set to offline this whole time, and I never switched it. Why is it saying I'm online? Weird. And for anyone else who's listening here, if you want to friend on Xbox, just ping in Discord and we'll do that. I'm not going to be doing that with other randoms who come in on the game streams, though, just so anyone knows.
Yeah, he already rejected me. He doesn't know me.
Well, there are too many randoms that come in on the game streams. You get it. Anyone who... Curvy, actually, I believe you were there when I said this a couple of weeks ago. Someone kept trying to friend me on PlayStation. It's like, no, you don't understand. I literally not friending anyone on PlayStation. Stop sending requests. Like, you're wasting time clicking buttons at this point. Your controller, those few button presses on your controller are being worn out for no value. Which the person was still very annoying about it. So yeah, anyway. Stadio Pro vibes. Kind of true. All right. Anyway, so are there any things I'm forgetting to talk about? Any other thoughts, Xbox related or otherwise, that should be brought up?
I've got nothing.
Yeah. I think that's probably the case. So, as anyways, as that being the situation, I think it is time to wrap this one up. And Curvy, yes, I will send you an invite or a friend request in just a moment. Once I can focus on the screen for where the friend requesting interface is. But let's see. Corbin, first, is there anything you'd like to pitch or talk about or promote?
Spacebar.news.
Baby.
Go there, read things, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
Carson, believe me, I do remember that. And no joke, I was actually going to ask sometime soon, what would people like out of the RambleCast? Would people like it longer? Would people like it shorter? Would people like it if we were prepared? Good luck making any of this happen, but you never know. There could be ways to make changes to adjust. But yeah, the 6-hour streams were something. Also, by the time I was done with those, my throat was usually demolished. So
yeah,
also a line I should probably have never said on the internet. But
I'm not here for the long streams. I'll do a long stream the next time I can figure out like a charity stream. That'd be cool.
Yeah, which we never did do that last time around. No. So I suppose we should probably start kicking around some techathon plans somewhere in the not too distant future.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Anyway, so, but I guess speaking of streams or whatever, as usual, I will be back this weekend with some Fall Guys, some Overwatch, you know, all the good things. I'm going to be sticking with the morning streams at least through this weekend. I will start working on deciding when to switch back to evening streams fairly soon, but I don't know when it's going to be. At least for this next weekend, it's going to be morning streams. So let's see. Oh, and of course, huge thanks to everyone who supports the channel. Links down below. If you'd like to support the channel, there's links to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. Huge thanks to Carson, Austin, David, Diablo, and Kirby Mermaid. Y'all are wonderful people. There are special things in your future somehow. Look, I'm not saying I'm going to be responsible or make them happen, but there are special things in your futures. Thank you all for coming by, hanging out, being part of the conversation, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.